in committee here today. I think we have just about as many people in the audience as we do here. We do have one committee member online and some other people online too.
Yeah, we have some attendees online as well.
Okay, perfect. I'm glad those of you who are here on this beautiful evening. It's a wonderful evening to bike home or to bike get here. Willow, would you like to start us off?
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Willow Hamilton, and I am the City of Eugene staff representative for this meeting. Before the chairs convene the meeting, I have a few reminders and introductory words. Tonight, we'll start with our land acknowledgement. This week, Ash is going to share some land acknowledgement stuff, and then next week we can move on to Big Ryan share, if that's okay. Or next week, sorry, next month.
Or August.
August. We don't even have a July meeting. Next month, 2 months from now, Ryan, you'll be on deck. Okay, Ash, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I decided it'd be interesting to learn about the Kalapuyan language that I knew nothing about. And in my research, I learned that the last first language speaker of Kalapuyan actually died in the 1950s. So historically, we might have called it a dead language, but now the preferred term is sleeping language if there's enough information available to revive the language and enough cultural interest, which there is. And there's actually, I was learning about efforts of a family, a Kalapuyan elder named Esther Stutzman and her family have basically been using old recordings from anthropologists in the 1930s who made a lot of notes and wax cylinder recordings, and they're basically trying to reconstruct the language. And they just published a dictionary like just a few years ago. And I would encourage you to go out. They did a collaboration with BuzzFeed to do like a fundraiser to publish this dictionary. So if you just Google BuzzFeed Kalapuyan, it's a really cool video talking to the family. And so they're trying to teach themselves the language and conduct workshops, but probably a long time before there are any fluent speakers. But I don't know if you heard recently in the news, a high school student at South, Isa Helms, just graduated with a bilingual certification in Milut, which is a Kus language that is also classified as a sleeping language. And through these kind of revitalization programs, she was able to gain enough fluency to graduate with this certification for the first time ever. So it's a really cool success story, and maybe someday Kalapuyan can reach that as well.
Nice. Thanks, Ash. Appreciate that. Okay, with the land acknowledgement finished, we'll move on to the purpose of the Active Transportation Committee, which is to provide feedback to staff on projects related to walking and bicycling, and to represent community and constituent interests in transportation planning decisions. Eugene City staff will consider recommendations from the ATC, along with input from other members of the public during decision-making processes. Please keep in mind that this meeting is being both recorded and live streamed, so it can be viewed on the City of Eugene Transportation Planning YouTube channel both right now and in the future. All verbal and written commentary will be held in the public record. Today's meeting will begin the 15-minute public comment period. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak. When it is your time to speak, please give your name, city of residence, and if you live in Eugene, your ward or neighborhood. We welcome and encourage public participation at all our meetings, but due to time constraints, only ATC members and invited presenters can ask questions and participate in discussion after the public comment period. We'll begin with those joining us online. If you would like to speak, please use the raise hand feature within Zoom, and I will call on you and unmute your microphone. Looks like we do have one person. Okay, Alan, go ahead.
Hi there. Guess I just get audio, no video. That's okay. Are you getting feedback?
Yeah, we can hear you, Alan. But we don't see you.
Okay. Well,
I might be able to promote you. 1 second. Looks like that worked. There we go. Hi, Alan.
All right. You submitted. All right. Well, I'm sorry I can't join you all today in person, but I wanted to make a comment in relation to the number of crashes that the city has seen in recent months. And one of the things that the ATC can push for over the course of the month and years ahead that is relatively simple and could have a significant improvement on both real safety and perceived safety is to examine the vision triangles where bicycle routes cross major routes. So, there's been a lot of conversation about Hilliard Street, Patterson Street, because there's two lanes going in one direction. And I imagine that you all have had experiences on either those streets or other streets where you look to the left and you can't really see a car is coming at you pretty quickly. And you can only imagine someone who is young or old or had, for whatever reason, has a difficult time gaining some momentum to get across the street, that having a little bit more visual cue about where the vehicles are and for them to be able to see you, to make that eye contact, to make the difference between getting across the street safely and feeling safe about crossing the street and not getting across. So what that practically probably means is an analysis of, say, where 15th Avenue and 12th Avenue crosses those streets, and then other places where there's high-speed crossings around the city, and analyzing and seeing where a removal of one parked car could make the difference, and then changing the curb stripe. This could be instituted as a policy, and it could be done relatively quickly and easily. So that's just something I want to put out there. There's been a lot of conversation about bigger, systemic changes and so forth, but this is something that can happen pretty easily. That's all. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks, Alan.
Thanks, Alan. Appreciate your comment.
Mhm.
We have to refer to what you're talking about as daylighting is one of the like planner terminology that you'll hear us talk about. So when we refer to daylighting, it usually means extending that distance from the intersection out with yellow curb or sometimes even bollards to prevent people from parking and creating visual obstructions. So appreciate the comment. Okay. I'm gonna make you back to attendee. My goodness. There we go. The control of my mouse on this big screen is very like unwieldy. I like keep trying to keep clicking the wrong things. Okay, anybody else online interested in giving public comment today? Doesn't look like it, so we can transition to those of us joining us in person, which it looks like Connie.
Hi,
Connie.
this is Connie Berglund from the Amazon neighborhood. I have something to pass out. These are articles from this Monday's Emerald, and it's on the Hilliard Street or Patterson Street stuff. I'm gonna pass them out to you all, so if you wanna look at them, pass it that way. I'm not gonna talk about the accidents in the last month, but I'm just gonna talk and also connect to what Alan was talking about crosswalks. And how with either a PSA or something, we can somehow get more information out to drivers. I know we've all experienced this as walkers, bicyclists, or even on wheelchairs, that, you can be standing at the crosswalk, especially this is true in a 2-lane, crossing a 2-lane. And you're looking right at the people, they're looking right at you, and the signal comes on and they still barrel right through. The same thing happens like at 29th and Amazon, they're right next to you, they see you, you see them, the signal comes on to walk and boom, they go around the corner. So the worst case is is not our problem, but Springfield's, which is out at the roundabout, which is a nightmare and a half where you have flashing lights saying slow down, but either grandma and grandpa are too terrified to slow down, or the commercial drivers just barrel through. And I've been out there, it's really difficult to get a safe feeling to do it. Yesterday I had a situation on Pearl, which again, it's 2, and I had 2 bicyclists trying to cross in front of me and the car was next to me and the car slowed down when he saw both the pedestrian and bicyclist. And then for about 2 seconds, he actually semi-stopped and then sped up because they didn't walk in fast enough apparently, because they're both looking directly at him. I mean, they were fixed on him. And I was stopped. And so he just said, well, they didn't walk in fast enough, and he went through. And I told the guys, I said, well, that's a lesson, So I just don't know how to do it other than maybe PSAs or something to get it on the television or radio, just to remind people to say, when it flashes for a walk signal or a bicycle, that means you don't turn. Even if you have 2 lanes to go boom around someone or whatever. So I don't know how to make it easier or simple or even cheap, relatively inexpensive to do, but that's just something that I just, it happens all the time. But anyway, and the last one is a reminder to everyone, we're getting up to the 90s and 100s. So the especially the tar streets can get up to 130, 140. I mean, it's an incredible amount of heat coming off the tar. So deflate. Reduce the inflation in your tires and everything when we get up this hot, or you're gonna have ooh. So that's just a reminder.
Thanks, Connie.
Thanks, Connie. That just happened to me the last hot day we had.
Yeah.
I was on Fifth Avenue and I was walking my bike next to someone else's and his tire just exploded.
Oh, yeah.
While I was standing there, it scared me so bad. And then when he came out, I was like, you're not going anywhere.
Oh, I
Sorry.
had the article I put on there, and I put the whole thing in there. If you open it up, you'll actually see the budget system, budget shortfall for the university is in there as well. And it's a really good article on how bad the budget is being hit over the next year. So that's actually in the unfolded, if you unfold it, it's in there.
Thanks, Connie.
All right.
That concludes our public comment.
Very good. Thanks, Willow. Thanks, commenters. And we can then move on into the rest of the agenda. Well, actually, we start with, of course, approving the May meeting summary notes. I hope everyone scrutinized them to make sure your contributions were correctly represented there. Do I have a motion to approve? Oh,
Yeah, did you catch something?
It was like more, it says eat instead of east. That's just a typo. No, what Charlie just said in terms of no, like almost no one's comments are attributed to them. I'm not really bothered by that, but sometimes I don't know if we have a standard for that. We have a lot of bullet points not attributed to anyone, so that was kind of a point of clarification. And then I have one thing, there was a bullet point that says, Natasha says they are all for internal guidelines, which was kind of in response to a question I had made, which was, are there internal guidelines for this? I think it was important to include in the notes that there are not. Like, that seems pertinent to me.
and this was related
Related
to
to signals and like how you make an LPI or how you really, anything about it.
just reminded me.
Yeah.
No, very good. Any other changes or adjustments before we approve? All right, motion to approve then? I take that as Hollis motioning to approve. Thank you, Hollis. A second? Sue, all in favor, thumbs up. Nancy online, are you voting for approving the notes?
Well, we don't have panelists show yet.
Yes.
Thanks, Nancy.
All right. Very good. Thanks, everyone.
Sweet, well, I will make those changes.
Yep. That was voting to approve with the change.
With the changes. As far as the attribution goes, I haven't ever done that with the notes. I think because my logic is that there's a recording. So if anyone wanted to watch it and really like see who said what, they could do that. And I don't think there's any like legal requirement for me to do attribution in the meeting minutes. But I could try to do that if we felt like it would be important or helpful.
Yeah, I don't.
Or did you just want to ask like,
I was
was
just
that
curious.
intentional?
Sometimes it happens, and sometimes.
Oh, gotcha.
Like usually it doesn't seem to, and
Yeah.
I'm not bothered because sometimes the written record like is more looked at or found and it's more important. I think Dan who said something, but I don't know, some committees are like keep track of that very well.
Yeah,
Just curious.
Yeah, I don't, and I think in some ways it feels preferable to me to not have it be like this person said this person said this person said
Yeah,
this.
a lot harder.
It's harder and also I don't know how much it adds to the conversation, but it may be a little bit inconsistent where sometimes I'll throw out a name. So,
I'm fine as is.
okay. Thanks for asking though.
All right. So we can, we'll then move along to our first substantive item here, the reallocation of lanes on Sixth and Seventh. And we have Brandon White here, and Willow's name is on this as well. Brandon's, we haven't had him at this committee before. Welcome, Brandon. Thank you. The newest, Eugene Transportation Planner.
It's a pleasure to be. Thank you for having me here today.
I'm gonna
And
get our screen share going, but if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure.
Yeah.
yeah, so I started in November. In the past, I worked for the city of Mountain View as active transportation planner there, and I was the BPAC staff liaison there for 4.5 years. And before that, I was in Cedar Rapids, Iowa as a multimodal transportation planner. So I was bike ped and transit. And I'll spare you my entire resume, but that is to say that most of my work has been in bike and ped planning. And so really happy to talk with you all today and talk with you on the project. So I'm gonna give you a quick rundown on what the project is. I'm the project manager for this project, and then Willow will talk with you guys about the community engagement aspect of it, and that's really where she's looking for the input, or we're looking for input today. But yeah, here we have the way that Seventh Avenue used to look in 1960. So this is 2 lanes with parking on both sides. So just sort of keep that in mind as we talk about lane reduction means we're gonna take a lane away. But we'll talk about what we're gonna do with that space. And let me give you a quick overview of the project. So the project boundaries are here on the map. They're both 6th and 7th Avenue from High to Charnelton. They're lane reductions, so that's 1 lane, that's the right lane in each direction. Would be removed for motor vehicle travel, and then it would be replaced with parallel parking. We'll talk more about parallel parking in another slide. The project is pedestrian focused, with the major reason why we're doing this is to shrink the crossing distance that pedestrians have to cross and lower their risk of being struck by a motor vehicle. So how we're gonna do this is with low cost, quick build materials, and we'll have some photos of exactly what I'm talking about here in a second. And for us, we're looking to do this in a pretty quick time frame. So as of right now, we're at like 10% design, cruising to 30%. We're looking to be 100% designed by the end of the year and starting construction next year. Next slide. So as I mentioned, the number 1 goal of the project is to improve pedestrian safety, comfort, and visibility. One of those ways that is, of course, by shortening that pedestrian crossing distance. Another way is improving the intersections. So one possible solution likely to be used is painted curb extensions. These are that utilize protective posts. And they can be done in a quick build manner. So you can see that this intersection was maybe 20% longer distance before these treatments came in, and these are treatments that can be done pretty quickly and at a lower cost than if we were to do something with concrete. It'll improve driver awareness, clarity, through updated signing and striping in the project area. So this is just an example of what's likely to come. We can talk more about, additionally, we want a placemaking component to this. So those pedestrian sort of triangles right there in the center that this community chose to paint beige, that could be an opportunity for artwork. Next page. So our second goal is reallocate the project, reallocate roadway space on Sixth and Seventh to support more pedestrian and business-friendly environment. So we'd be doing that by removing one travel lane on Sixth, that's the north side, and on Seventh, that's the south side. So that's just the right side of whichever direction you're going. And be introducing on-street parking in the repurposed travel lane. So here's an older drawing with a very preliminary, just we're zoomed in a little bit here of how many parking spaces might get added here. One thing I should mention, generally, when parking is added to a roadway, travel speeds, if the parking is used, travel speeds go down. So that's another benefit for the pedestrian, is that the travel speed should go down with this reduction. And also, though the same amount of cars will have to operate in 3 instead of 4 lanes, so there could be some reductions there. So lastly, not here in the slides, but I know that we're working on keeping those travel lanes relatively narrow. So even though you might be thinking, well, if you add the parking, we're gonna have space in between, and that outside travel lane is gonna be pretty wide, and traffic might go fast in that travel lane. That won't be the case. We're gonna keep each one of these travel lanes relatively narrow. Next slide, please. So this is our third goal is to test low-cost reversible pilot as a precursor to potential permanent redesign. So test reversible pilot. We're trying these things. This is part of what Willow's going to talk about, is we're going to collect input before, we're going to collect input after the project, and what doesn't work because they were low cost, because they were cheap, they are reversible. We could try something else, we can make tweaks, we can throw the whole thing out if everybody hates it and go back to the way it was. So we're gonna use materials that allow for rapid installation, paint post planters. So we are considering planters and talking about various plants that could work inside of those planters in a low cost way. So thinking succulents and thinking things that don't require a lot of maintenance from actual people. We're gonna collect and document installation performance of the roadway itself to inform decisions for the long-term transformation. And again, we want to move quickly. So, and the photo there on the left is sort of what I was talking about before, is we're going to put in the parking, but we're also going to put in that stripe on the left so that travel lane is narrow.
Well,
Next slide. And then lastly, we're going to evaluate the transportation, economic, and community outcomes to support the future of the project. So it is a temporary project, which is not to say that, you know, we're going to take it all out and then come back and put something in. If people like it or various aspects, we're going to leave it until we have the money to build something that we've learned from and is educated by the reality of that roadway. But also, if people hate it, then yeah, we can go back on it. So for that, we need to know pre and post installation data for the project. We're going to conduct that community survey, both for the general community, but also for businesses. And then we'll produce an analysis and a summary report with clear recommendations for the future on what we're going to do. Last, I believe this is my last slide here, but this is the way the project.
Sorry, did I go?
It's all good. This is the way the project area. This is the way 6th Avenue looked in 1942. So you can see that it has been a very different road with lots of different capacities through the years. And so, you know, we need to evaluate it for what's right for our current time. And I'll give it over to Willow.
Sweet. So you've probably heard me mentioning this 6th and 7th project for a handful of years. It's kind of been like on the radar for the city for a while. We just recently were able to get a little bit of money to hire a consultant to really do like a real feasibility analysis and get some engineering drawings done. So that's why we're talking to you about it now, and that we've made some movement on this project. We don't have everything figured out. So we have to like there's two reasons to do community engagement. One is to inform the project so that it's a better project. And the other is to inform the community so that they're not surprised by something. So we want to achieve both of those through doing community engagement on this project. I sent out the community engagement plan before the meeting. Hopefully folks were able to review it. It's a draft plan, so we are open to feedback and edits. So I'm just gonna pull it up onto the shared screen here and we can kind of go through it and hear what you all have to say. The one thing I want to highlight is that once we launch community engagement, we'll probably come back to you all and talk to you about like the actual project itself and the elements and get your feedback on what you think about the project. Right now, we're more asking what you think about the community engagement plan, if that makes sense. That being said, if you have thoughts about 6th and 7th while we're going through the community engagement plan, we're here. We're happy to hear from you and talk about it. But as we get further along, we're gonna have more like direct questions rather than just like what do you think. We'll have more specific questions to ask.
Well, I'm worried on the map.
How wide are they now?
How wide is 6th and 7th now? Do you know that? There's 4 11-foot travel lanes, probably 11 on the outer and 10 in the middle, probably.
Yeah, they could be wider than that. I can find out for you in just like 2 minutes. I'll check here.
Probably a minimum of 42 feet, potentially wider.
Yeah, I will check right now. I believe that outside travel lane is wider than a standard.
It might be
Yeah.
12
Yeah, or no. not
or
12,
even
yeah,
more.
Even more.
A soccer field.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long way to cross and it feels like it when
Oh,
you're
yeah.
crossing. it.
I will
Yeah,
check right now and I'll have an answer.
Yeah.
The dimension.
What is the dimensions of a soccer field?
I
4
don't
to
know.
5 feet?
An ultimate frisbee field is 40 and it's way big. when it's
Ultimate
not
frisbee
that-
field, that's wild.
Hmm.
Okay, this is kind of an open conversation to talk about the community engagement plan or 6th and 7th stuff if people.
Well, maybe I'll just ask one quick question about how a project like this gets prioritized. I mean, I don't think this is, I'm certainly sympathetic to, I think we're all sympathetic to things that make it easier to cross streets. But where did this project come from exactly? I mean, it's not like in the TSP, I don't think. It's like, what is the process by which the planning department settled on doing this project?
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about that. And I spared us the history, but I guess maybe I should put that in the presentation. There was an analysis that began in 2012 that led to across the downtown area that suggested different to take a different approach to the downtown and how to better connect and bring people in and through it. That led to a study by DKS, and I can provide this to anyone if they would like to see these old studies. By DKS that did a much more detailed analysis that collected actual traffic data and the number of cars and those types of inputs. So that occurred, that led to us actually looking at a more permanent project with another study, Sandow study that occurred approximately 2021. And we had more drawings and things like that designed. And that was actually set to try to, you guys will know the answer, but there was a track event in 2022 that was supposed to occur. And the idea was to have this project done in advance of that and to support those changes. But the pandemic happened and things changed and funding changed. And so now we're trying to come out with a way to take some of those permanent changes and test them and just get something done faster. And so that's sort of the history of.
And downtown has been identified as like a priority by both city council and like a lot of the like different regional agencies that work on downtown. And that's where this these initial studies came, is they looked at all of these intersections in downtown.
Hey, I'd say I hid the slide.
You hit it, but I
I hid
unhid
it.
it.
Thank you.
Slides were found, John.
Yes.
Lucy.
And I have checked the width of 6th and 7th, both are 45 feet.
Cool.
Yeah. I guess I have more comments. I appreciate that you were coming to ATC multiple times. That was cool on the engagement plan. That was cool. And early, I like that. Mike, but definitely I have more questions about that, like, because I spend time thinking about these things and I love what's going on here. But my first question is, I have two, okay. They're big, which is like how we get this area that ends at Charnelton. I think especially when we're trying to signals people and the consistency of the signals ends around there, might be Olive around there also. And it's just 6th and 7th become bigger problems like as soon as you get out of that area. Like the crossings from Olive to High, you at least have like LPIs in most of them, you at least have signals. I cross at like Lawrence a lot and it's, what the hell am I doing here? There's like, and it's terrible, but at least coming south, which will be helped by the Lincoln Street bike lane, but coming south, Lawrence is like an important bike route for a certain percentage of the population, which will get better once we have a 2-way bike lane on Lincoln, because that'll be a preferred route. But so I think about these things and I think about how like challenge anyway. So why we have to stop at Charnelton when more major problems happen between Olive and Blair. And then my other question is how we're thinking about like what adding parking is gonna do. I mean, safety wise, great, but in terms of the fact that we also have almost too much, not almost, we have too much parking downtown. I like the idea of having spaces for businesses that temporary parking, but adding more permanent parking. We even have like, I think there was like a deficit in our parking fund this year. Someone can check me on that. But so that sounds like adding parking might like not be good for that, because when there's more of it, like pay less for it actually. Yeah, that's like, those are my main questions.
I can sort of,
I'm sorry, those are two completely different things.
No, go
and
for it, no
maybe not
problem.
your wheelhouse, but
I think I'm on the second agenda item, so I've talked a little bit with our parking folks and I can maybe answer your questions also, or at least approximate a good one. But the first question, at Charnelton, that's where the MX bus begins, and so further lane reduction in that area isn't something that we are currently considering, but this is your input right now is.
I also almost
why
got
we're here.
hit by a bus there actually, by the way.
Yeah. So, you know, we're open to take that feedback and for the. So that's where that Charlton comes from. And then when it comes to the parking, yeah, I think it was 350,000 that they were in the negative on the last report that I saw. But that said, you know, that had a lot to do, as they indicated, with vandalism and some other potential issues. So when this parking comes in, we do, because of state law, have to still be able to collect coins for all the parking spaces. But that said, we are looking at kiosks, and the parking department is looking at kiosks and ways to sort of consolidate the potential targets for vandalism and then still collect revenue there. So in that sense, you know, expanding the amount of spaces, they're going to keep the space the same, but expanding the amount of the price the same. I meant to say expanding the amount of spaces potentially, if people actually do want to park here, could increase revenue for that.
Great. Let's go to Lucy and Sue. Then I want to make sure we actually get Willow the feedback she needs. Maybe Willow, if you can think of if there are specific questions you would like to ask us at this time, as well as getting any general feedback for those who looked at the plan already. But let's go ahead and take Lucy and Sue's questions, and then
Yeah, we
If
can
there's
always
something
come back
specific
to
you wanna ask us, make sure we get to
Okay,
that.
I do have that, yeah.
Okay,
Thanks, Charlie. Thanks for sharing this plan, Brandon. I appreciate the enthusiasm for pedestrian safety, so I like this project. And I was curious about, when we're talking about parking, like how many parking spaces that you might be adding?
Yeah, these are approximate, 28 on, 6th and 38 on 7th. I think those numbers are gonna go down as we, I needed to add one more thing. I think those numbers are gonna go down as we look at the driveway triangles and side triangles to make sure that, parking spaces, since the design in 2018, things have improved in terms of the need for daylighting. So I think that those numbers I gave you are old numbers. They'll be down a little, but they'll also be down because we are looking at commercial parking and temporary 30-minute zone parking. That's gonna be context sensitive as we talk to each business and find out what they're looking for. And maybe, but this is down the road, we've talked with the parking department about looking for TNC or Uber and Lyft specific, DoorDash specific temporary loading type of parking situations as well.
Neat. How will you ensure the safety of the pedestrians when the lane changes from those 3 to 2? Is that through the like planters and stuff that you showed, or?
From 4 to 2, or sorry,
Yeah.
4 to 3, 4 to
Yeah.
3, yeah. Planters could be used, more than likely, it'll be those flex posts that you saw. It's more than likely to be flex posts.
Sounds good. And then for Willow, I was curious about what the length of the public comment period will be. That was one question. And then the other question was just related to temporary projects like this, like what other projects in town have had this similar design where you have something temporary and then have a long period for comment? Has it been successful? Has it not been successful? I'm just curious on sort of what the outcome may be.
Yeah, so as far as the length of the public comment period, I don't think we've like identified exactly when we're gonna do our cutoff, but we are trying to get to 100% designs. When we get to 100% or usually 90% designs, we're not really taking comment anymore. So if we're trying to build in 2027, then yeah, probably like late fall is probably when we're gonna like try and launch this summer and then have it open for 3-ish months and then close it. So that's what I'm expecting, but we haven't really like gotten that.
2026.
Yes, sorry,
Yes,
fall
okay,
2026,
okay,
yes.
fall.
What year is it?
I don't know, I feel like projects
Um,
sometimes have such a long timeline, so I just have to.
Yes,
This
this one's
year.
shorter. Yeah, this one's shorter. And I think that's part of that like demo project style and when we use more bolt down materials. And also we say shorter, but like we've had a study since 2018, so like it's not really that short, right? And sometimes people are like, oh, well, you did this quickly, but it takes us a long time to do projects. So this one is years old at this point. But yes, from when we got the consultant to when we're gonna build it, that's gonna be a bit faster than normal. As far as what other projects are similar, from a demo project perspective at the city, we haven't done a ton like this. This, I think, is easily like our most visible demo project that we've done, at least in recent memory. It's possible that planners over the past have done things.
there's a small one, I'll just mention that's visible to cyclists, which is that at 19th and Alder. The traffic island there and that was all done with temporary
But
material.
that one's a bit different though, because it wasn't like, let's just put this in here and see what happens. It was really like pretty intentional to put that there with like a long-term vision in mind. And this one is like, let's put this here, see what happens, get feedback during the project. So it's a bit different in the way we're like doing community engagement even after it's been installed. And I think the engagement after it's been installed is actually a really big piece of this project that makes it unique from most of our other projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we'll be running a survey after the project's installed, which we don't typically do because it's built and it's permanent. And yes, your feedback is helpful, but like it's not gonna make a big change to this exact project. And that's not the case with this one. Like we may get some really interesting feedback and ideas for
Yeah.
people once they get to experience it.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. It's like a testing phase
Mhm.
almost.
And I think it's something the community's been asking for, is for us to like maybe be a little bit more creative and nimble. So this is our opportunity to kind of try that out.
Sue, and then I see Hollis also has a question. We do need to get to what we'll do Sue and then we'll do Hollis, but we want to take the specific.
Okay,
Yeah,
Oh.
my only question for Brandon is there any way after Charlton to keep people from saying, oh, wow, another lane, I'm speeding up after, you know, that kind of thing? And then a couple of questions for Willow. I was wondering, I mean, in the text, it describes, okay, this is intended to help people walk between the Market District and downtown. So like I can imagine a lot of people saying, so what are you doing way out at Charlton? That didn't have anything to do with the Market District or Charlton, you know, so that seems like it's maybe not just the Market District of downtown, so I was wondering if that's the right wording. And then I was looking at the questions we want to ask the audience, I think it's called, or something like that. There's one about, what is your ideal 6th and 7th? It's like, well, I don't think the scope of this project is to give anybody the ideal 6th and 7th. Is that, I mean, I'm not sure that's necessarily a relevant question particularly. I would think more like, you know, will this help you to walk between downtown and the Market District or something? Because, you know, if it turns out that the reason people don't like to walk there is that they have to wait so long for the signal. Well, this isn't necessarily gonna help that, you know, so that sort of thing, it will changing the crossing distance affect the way you get around, I guess, is, anyway, that was just my thoughts.
With the ideal 6th and 7th, I think this project, right, this is not about the ideal 6th and 5th, it's about trying something to make it better. Not ideal, because we don't have the budget for that, and we don't have the time for that, but learning from what we do and the post-engagement and even the pre-engagement input is about that final project. And if we want to we'll learn from this, but if we want to reimagine 6th and 7th, that's one of your opportunities to give us that input on what you want it to look like. And then the other question, which is your concern, or how can we make people not speed up after Charlton? I wrote that down. I think that's very valid. It's not gonna happen with this project, but that doesn't mean we can't find funding somewhere else, because this project will impact that section. You're right, that people are gonna have this, they're gonna have this new lane and say, speed up, yeah. So we'll talk about it. That's a good point.
Will, what do you,
Yeah.
what do you have questions specifically for us you were hoping to get feedback on?
Luckily, Sue kind of started that conversation because under strategies, we have this pre-survey, develop a survey that asks the community about current conditions on 6th and 7th, which will help provide comparison for the post-project survey. So we haven't developed this yet, but I thought if folks had ideas here on like thinking about the pre and post survey, so the survey before we build the project and the survey after we build the project, like what do you feel like would be helpful to ask? I feel like you got to one of those, which was like, did it make a difference for you? You know, like maybe we could ask like, is 6th and 7th the barrier for you right now to cross? And then we could ask a 6th and 7th the barrier for you right now to cross afterwards too, and see if that needle moved at all, or I don't know if other folks have ideas.
Oh. Do not.
So I think we had something about target audiences or something, just in thinking about that. That survey could be filled out by a lot of drivers just complaining that it was slower, but if we're actually wanting to get feedback from pedestrians crossing about their safety concern, those are like gonna be very different things. So like targeting your questions, just asking things related to, like, not related to driving is just, I mean, yes, you're right, not exactly a manipulative survey, but I think it'd be important to ask the questions about the things you wanna know about. Like, we know it's gonna slow down cars a little, that's kind of the point, so you don't wanna ask questions about driving where people are just gonna complain about slowing down, cause it's like, that was the point. But then again, you might ask things like, hey, were you inclined to speed up when you were driving, like when you got a fourth lane? I don't know, just thinking about how the questions relate to what you're actually doing rather than even like when I came in here and started asking you about why we can't have it beyond Charlton or the parking, because that and you're interested in my opinion, but it's not even what you're asking us right now, which is good. Charlie keeps us focused. But like when you design a survey, that's what you need to design, is asking the questions you actually want to know the answers to. And I think Nancy has a question
Yes.
too.
Yeah, Nancy, go ahead.
Yeah, I put it in the comments, but the first question about the ideal 6th and 7th look like, I think that if you asked, what would your ideal 6th and 7th look like as a pedestrian? What would your ideal 6th and 7th look like as a business person? What would your ideal 6th and 7th look like as a bicyclist? And what would your ideal 6th and 7th look like as a vehicle driver? You know, because there's a way of, I would find that information out, because the city is not interested in keeping traffic going at a dangerous speed. They like to get cars through. They don't like to cause unnecessary choke points and stuff. But really, I think that making sure that these questions are about improving the pedestrian experience, that's the goal of this project. And you don't have to say the goal is to slow down traffic, but improving the pedestrian experience, as we all know, includes slowing traffic down. But ask it that way. I put it in the chat also, Willow.
Okay, thanks, Nancy.
Thanks, Nancy. Let's go to Ash and then Lucy.
Yeah, I was just curious, like, so the main purpose is pedestrian safety. I was just wondering how we measure whether it was successful at that, so is that primarily due to surveys on how people feel about the safety, or do we have other metrics that we're
That's a
looking at?
great question. If you see this last one, it says, this is a demo project. What should we be measuring to evaluate
Okay.
the success? That's, I think, gonna be one of the things we're talking with people about. And to Nancy's point, their identity might inform that. So when we talk to a business owner, their metrics for success might look different than if we talk to a person who walks or a person who bikes or a person who doesn't go to downtown. They just live on one side and drive through to get to the other side. Like each person's gonna feel like the success is different. So that's one of our questions, but I think we also have some things identified
Sure.
that will help us understand the success of the project.
I was just gonna suggest, to the extent we are relying on surveys, can we interview people like right after they finish crossing the street? Can we like post people on the corner to ask them how that felt?
Yeah.
Versus like before, last time you crossed it, I don't know.
Yeah, we call those intercept surveys.
I feel like it might be hard to get at with like a voluntary, I don't know, survey or.
Yeah, do you think if we this is just a question for you guys, do you think if we had a staked sign or a sign on a post or something that said notice we changed the crossing, how is it? Question mark code URL, do you think that would kind of get at what you're asking, Ash, or do you think really having a person be take the survey right now? Just thinking from.
I'm not really sure how often people engage with those. So.
Yeah. Okay. But to get that more pointed feedback, I hear that.
I think that's a really good comment though, because if you just reach out to active transportation groups, for example, you're gonna get very skewed data.
Yeah, and on that note, I think, what does the success look like? I was just thinking about the percentage of folks who might fill it out who are more leaning towards the traffic and while being in their car versus the pedestrian safety, taking that into account of who's answering can inform the data, I'm sure. I was curious if the speed limits are gonna change, or is it just a goal to have cars slow down potentially?
Typically, we would set the speed limit after we observe the new speed that motor vehicles are traveling. So we expect speeds to drop.
Mhm.
And then we will observe and respond.
But the speed limit on that section of Sixth and Seventh right now, I think is 20. So I don't expect us to lower it any further. What we really see is like the speed limit is low, but the actual speed is not low. Like people are driving well above the speed limit, so this project is more trying to reduce the speed with built environment changes rather than making speed limit changes. Yeah. I think it's unlikely that we'll drop it any lower
Yeah.
than 20.
Well, I was thinking maybe a question you could ask is like, what would be your ideal speed limit for that road for anyone that's driving, given that pedestrians are crossing? I don't know, just curious what people would say.
Like 45.
That's probably true. 35.
So we're starting to reach our time limit on this topic. Hollis, did you have something, you've been trying to say something, I think. Did you have a question or comment?
Where are the parking numbers different?
And it is this and then then or
Or 6th and 7th, Highway 99 or 126? We'd be able to get state funding?
Uh, parking numbers are different on Sixth and Seventh because the Sixth has less driveways than Seventh on the right side of the road. So the more driveways, the less parking spaces we have. 'Cause the actual driveway, but also then the triangles for each one. It is Highway 99, however, the Eugene has jurisdiction. It's no longer controlled by ODOT, so that's why we can do this at all, really. And then would we be able to get state funding? Yeah, possibly, federal funding from our MPO. That would be for us, the second phase of this project, and we don't have a timeline on it. So it could be. It's definitely something we're gonna look at, and a wide range of possible funding sources would be needed.
Last question or comment from Ash, and then we really have to move on.
I was just curious, when we do these stakeholder meetings, do we have any kind of estimate or like kind of like a way to make the safety improvements real for people, like similar projects resulted in a 50% drop in the incidence of pedestrian vehicle collision, things like that, because it feels like if we expect a significant improvement in pedestrian safety, like that's a bit hard to argue with, I would hope. And I don't know, just do we have any estimates or data behind that to really sell that to people that this is actually a serious safety improvement?
Yes, the first thing that comes to my mind is the federal government releases crash mitigation factors. So these are a multiplication factor, which we can make it sound less government-y. by you just take that, it's like a reduction, it's like, it's a decimal point if it's a good project, and you multiply it by the amount of crashes you had in your last 5 years. And that number, that crash mitigation factor, is generated by research on any given improvement. So parking on the side, lane reduction, and then we can apply those crash mitigation. You can even multiply them against each other, and the point that you would say is we've had this many crashes with these improvements per Federal Highway Administration, we expect this many crashes. So that is the answer from the Federal Highway perspective, and then I'm sure we could probably find some other data points that are less statistical and more, have a better narrative.
we've done a handful of lane reductions in Eugene, so I think that there could be an opportunity for us to point to some of those projects and be like, this, you know, this street was 4 lanes and now it's 3. For example, South Willamette was 4 lanes and now it's 3. And for the most part, that project has been really successful. Different for sure. Yeah, definitely
Isn't
different.
there, like, I just worry that there's a chance we could initially see like increased crashes, especially like at the point when it expands to 4 lanes, because you have more cars who like
Mhm.
wait to just jump into that open lane.
Well, that's what happens right now from Charlton into downtown, is that it goes from 3 to 4. So it will be going from 3 to 3. So I think we'll see probably some significant benefits there.
That's good.
But on the other street, where it goes from, is it, I always get which direction 6th and 7th are going,
Yeah,
I'm
me too.
confused. I'm like, is it 6th going into downtown?
6 goes north, 7 goes, no, not north, 6 goes into 99 as well.
Just say airport.
7th is the one going
Northwest,
yeah.
east. Yeah, I can never remember.
7
Yeah, to answer your question, Ash, like we have plenty of things we can point to. And we use those when we're having conversations, but oftentimes the data can only get us so far, you know, to be like X, you know, like X percentage of decrease in this thing, and we found this and we found this, and all these data points, like we can use those and we will. But I also think really like intentionally listening and really hearing what people have to say is probably gonna be our most successful strategy. And the fact that like the city's doing this project, we're doing it. And it's a demo project, so that's where I think we're gonna have those really meaty conversations, is once it's in and people can experience it, and then we can really like get into like, how is it working? So I think that's a unique opportunity for this project. So, yeah, thanks for asking.
But we are gonna have to wrap it there. Well, I
Okay.
encourage everyone to like really look at Willow's plan here and get, I'm sure she would be welcome additional thoughts.
Yeah, if anyone wants to email me about
It
anything.
would be most helpful to hear from us by when?
When are we planning to start engagement? I do have a, hang on one sec.
The sooner the better, probably. would be the
Sooner
most
better, let me go down to our timeline.
well.
Yeah, so I would say end of the month probably. Cause when we get into July, we're gonna want to start scheduling stakeholder and start like really doing some of the engagement. So yeah, end of June would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alice, do you have a quick question?
Well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
You. On Wednesday, we were
Oh, talk to
Thank you
Wednesday
for adding
Wheelers.
Wednesday Wheelers.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you're welcome, no problem.
All right, we are running behind. Brandon has the next item as well. He's also the city's electric vehicle guy. And he wanted to come share with us this information about the survey that he currently, the city.
Yes.
He's leading.
Mhm.
If I said you only had 6 minutes to do it, can you do it?
I will try to present in 3 and give you all 3 to talk at me.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we have 4 phases. We're in the beginning of phase 1. Phase 1 is listening, asking, telling us what you want. We're gonna figure out what should the criteria be for what you want.
Maybe you need to back up and just say like. what's
EV chargers.
Okay, yes.
So EV chargers, we have electric vehicles, they need electricity. So like a gas pump, you plug them in and they get electricity. We want to find locations for public chargers across Eugene. And the first thing we need to do is set a criteria to select those locations. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get a map of possible charging locations. We're gonna evaluate those charging locations against a number of things, which I'll talk about in a few more slides, including electricity, but you all don't have to worry about that. eWeb will help us. Phase 3, we're gonna vet those sites, cost summary, and where this actually go. This doesn't mean we're building anything. It means we're getting our ducks in a row to be more successful at winning grants, attracting private development, and getting chargers in from a different way. This doesn't have any budget to actually build the chargers, but it will really help us get grants because we've tried in the past and not been as successful, and other communities take this approach. Next slide, please. So there's 3 different ways to charge an electric vehicle. You can plug it into just your regular old outlet at home, 120 volts. It will charge that way. You can plug it into 240 volts, which is like a dryer outlet. It will also charge that way. That's called level 2. You can charge them at a non-residential, so not every public charger you see in the street or commercial charger you see in the street is a DC fast charger. Eugene has about 7. And they have 400 volts, so they're much more powerful. It's not something you have at home. Here's a chart that I put together using EWED rates and our current gas price. If you charge at home, the vehicle here is a Tesla Model 3 and the gas vehicle is a Toyota Camry, so comparable vehicles. If you charge at home, you can charge for, this is all for 100 miles worth of range. It'll cost you $2.79. Now, you charge at home level 1, that's just a conventional outlet. That's gonna take you a while. It's gonna take you a little more than a day if you charge that way. But if you get at a home charger, or if you unplug your dryer and plug it in your car, you can do that. You can charge for 100 miles in about 4.5 hours, or fully charge the vehicle while you sleep, $2.71. If you go to a public EV charger, $7.50 for that 100 miles, it would take about 3 hours. If you go the fast DC fast charge rate, it's $12 in 10 to 20 minutes. So you're getting a cup of coffee while you're getting your charge. The fastest way is the gas powered vehicle, which will, 5 to 10 minutes. You go in and use the restroom or something like that. But that is also the most expensive way at $16. So next slide. This is to say, we need this. Existing charger locations. So this is just a map. If you want to learn more about your existing charger locations, go to PlugShare. It's a crowdsourced website, but it's pretty up to date and can tell you different things. I just want to say we do have free charging in the area. So when I'm giving you these numbers, those are residential, those were average prices. But if you do want free charging from the city or eWeb, you can find it. Go to PlugShare, you'll find it. Next slide. What are we looking when we do these EV attributes? Available grid capacity, proximity to shops, things you want to do while you wait for your charge. Already the existing number of chargers in the area, the existing number of EVs in the area, how much people are traveling, proximity to the underserved communities, which I'll talk more about on the next slide. And the length of time we expect people to stay at these locations can vary what sort of amenities you want at those locations. Next slide. So what are we actually doing like right now? We're doing a data-driven site identification. We're trying to expand the public charging into new neighborhoods. Areas where we already have good public charging, there's some Tesla locations, Oakway, there's one at Fred Meyer. We need to know where those are, but we also need to go to places where maybe private companies don't think it's profitable. We want to expand the area. We need to find that sweet spot where we have some people that are interested in the charging. And if they know that they have charging available, they might actually buy the EV and start charging at that location. But the companies don't already see that, oh, I'm just going to make money if I put it there. That's where we come in to try to split that difference and spread this footprint out. One of the things that's very difficult across the industry is that multifamily areas don't see the charging amenities provided, because so many of people that charge the cheapest way to charge, the most an economical way to charge is to charge at home, get those residential prices. So there is an equity issue because people that live in multifamily communities, whether they're townhomes or apartments, the charging companies aren't coming there because the condos or the apartments don't want to pay to have the infrastructure that is necessary to actually do that. So that's another area we come in, is we want to address that equity gap and get to the multifamily locations. And so we also want to build for the future of funding opportunities. This is what I was talking about before. We've not been successful with grants. We want to be successful with grants. Part of what we're doing with our partners is that they're going to literally give us grant language after this that we can just copy and paste into grants and try to go win these grants and actually get some public chargers. The very, very, very last slide is our survey. We want to hear from you. What do you think about everything I said? Where should chargers go? We have some demographic questions. Survey does close
Tomorrow.
tomorrow. I talked to the consultant. We can hold it open through the weekend. But that's it. Monday morning, it's over. So please, tinyurl.com, EV input Eugene. Probably more.
It's okay. I get that EVs are slightly outside of the scope of active transportation committee because driving is not active transportation. But it is tangentially related due to just like the values of reducing, you know, the environmental impact. So if you guys have perspectives, even if you're not an EV owner, and that's been something we've been pushing, whether you drive an EV or not, like hop on here and let us know what you think.
Quick question, Hollis, you had a quick question?
What? On the level 4,
What about level 4?
what?
Where are they?
Where are they?
Where are they? Yeah, can you go back one slide?
Yeah,
Or
two slides, I think.
Thank you.
Maybe three.
Maybe three. So this is just a screenshot of plugshare.com. The plugshare.com will tell you where they generally are. One issue we have is a lot of them are car dealerships. But if you're looking for just a good one, the Fred Meyer on West 11th, the Target in Springfield, can I mention Springfield? But anyway, these are good charging locations. That Tesla has one, the Oakway Center. Then there's a lot of smaller ones across the community. So I don't know if we have 40 some bus charging stations.
If anyone's, I just encourage people to fill out the survey. There is a local electric vehicle group in town, the Emerald Valley Electric Vehicle Association, which is a great place to connect, to ask EV owners and drivers about these kind of issues, or if you're particularly concerned, to get in touch with other people who are particularly concerned. I'm also a principal in that group, in addition to this one, and happy to interact with anyone on the subject of EVs. Oh, email you? Okay. All right.
Sounds good.
Sue, real quickly, and then we're really gonna have to.
Yeah, just quickly, I mean, I don't really have a stake in this, but I do live in a condo and we briefly considered trying to do some sort of EV charging. Yeah, part of it is the cost, but probably the bigger thing is, you know, we don't have any way to keep it from being vandalized and
Yeah.
you know, we can't even have an electric outlet in it, you know, because people come and charge their phones and just hang out there for hours and, you know, it's so, yeah, it's a tough situation in multifamily housing.
Do you want me to comment or do you just want me to?
Go ahead.
All right. He had to say yes once I asked him.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, it's a major problem. The U of O is actually, they're gonna get back to us. They're looking at Kevlar lined cables to try to address this issue. And the charging companies themselves at least have helped in the sense that now when you cut the cable, you don't have to replace parts inside of it. You can just kind of pull them out and install a new one. And then don't worry, I'm listening, Charlie. The
Yes, did
whole
you read my
system
note?
has taken a view more of like a gas pump where you pull up and the cable's there and you just pull it. It's like literally looks like a gas pump. Well, if you thought more about it like a cell phone where you have your own cable and you put like at the airport and you plug in at the airport, then nobody can steal the cable and vandalize the cable, which is usually what people are trying to get is the wires to recycle it. Europe is more coming that direction. I want to spread the idea because it's logical. I don't know. The United States will change.
And an awful lot of EV drivers carry their own cables anyway for use at RV campgrounds and other things when they travel. But I don't think it's that big a reach.
I have 3 cell phone cables in my bag right now.
Yeah. All right, Lucy, like in 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah, I just had a kind of quirky question. So we wanted to tie the EV charging into active transportation. Do any of them allow for charging of e-bikes?
I think this can be done. This is feedback that I'm gonna write down right now. Yeah, but in all honesty, Charlie might know, but that answer better than me. I know it's something we need to look at because we get the comments all the time. And we are going to try to work with our bike share provider because, you know, if you gotta wait around for your car to charge, you might as well get on the bike share and ride around. So we talked with them and from that aspect, but Charlie, how much do you wanna talk about?
Yeah, it's not typically, but there are locations like in state parks and so forth where it's particularly been a consideration because people have their e-bikes as well as people having electric vehicles. And so it can certainly be, you know, it's a good question as to whether, you know, you'd have the right kind of security in a place for electric vehicles being charged that you'd feel comfortable also leaving your electric bike. You know, and things like, you know, you'd have to think about it. But yes, if there's electricity there, it's really would be really easy to get equipment that you could also have a plug to plug in an electric bike. But I'm not sure that it's necessarily desirable in the urban environment. It would be worth exploring some more.
Just curious.
Thank you so much, Brandon,
Yeah.
for sharing. Obviously, there was some interest here, even among these active transportation geeks. We are way behind. If 3 minutes, long enough to run to the restroom, grab a snack over there. We are getting going again, right? And that clock says 6:45.
I'm just gonna go back to the.
Sounds great. Yeah, works great. Thank you. No, it's all good.
Things that we have.
No problem.
I did
We all
tolerate it.
been behind all. Deal not unusual by any means.
I can be wrong.
You ran over.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, let's make it happen. The next topic up, Willow, we dealt with E-motos last meeting, but Willow now has already has an update.
Wait,
No, we're.
I have River Road and Highway 99 on here first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was just mentioning we could skip Emotos or
Right.
have it be really short depending on how long.
My
the next one
apologies.
goes.
Thank you all for reading the agenda better than me. River Road and Highway 99 corridor study. Go, it's still Willow though. Go Willow.
Okay. I sent this out ahead of time also. You might remember, I think it might have been January, but I came to you all with the scope of work for the River Road and Highway 99 corridor plan. And this was back when we were looking at hiring a consultant and you gave us a lot of edits. The ATC did. You gave us a lot of edits for the scope of work. So this is kind of the next phase is basically we put that scope out there. A bunch of different consultants applied. We hired one and we've kicked off the meeting. And this is one of their first deliverables is to give us the community engagement plan. We've been working with them on this plan. And this is a draft plan that we have. So I'm sharing it with you all to kind of just keep that process going. So I thought we could go through it and hit some of the like major highlights to get some feedback from you all on what we're thinking for community engagement on River Road and Highway 99. To zoom out for just a sec to remind you all, the project objectives for the River Road and Highway 99 corridor study will really be to talk to the community about real built environment changes, like concrete plans to create something different than what is the existing condition. So this isn't a visioning opportunity. It's not a super broad, like, what do you want your neighborhood to feel like? This is very like, we've got a street. We've been hearing for years that it doesn't feel safe. We have data that shows that it's not safe. What do we build on this street to make it feel better? To make it safer and to make it function for everyone better. So we have that for River Road and for Highway 99. It's a single contract with our consultant, but we're not going to run the community engagement process as a single process. We're going to run two processes. We're going to run a process on Highway 99 and a process on River Road sort of at the same time, but we're not going to be talking about them as one because I think that would be confusing. Because they're different audiences and different contexts and all around pretty different streets. So that's kind of outlined here in the community context section. I'll keep scrolling down. Got some demographic criteria, but this is a little bit under edit still. You'll see that the population of Eugene Western neighborhoods is 123,000.
Wow.
That's about the same size as Eugene overall. So we have asked them to zoom in and get us more zoomed in demographics. So down here we have this census tract and we're asking them to get us demographics for these census tracts instead of that broader. I'm not sure what they were looking at. So we'll see if we discover anything really enlightening there, but we don't have that data yet. Okay, keep scrolling. This is just the people working on it. I'm not really looking for a ton of feedback on this stuff. This is all pretty straightforward. Engagement approach. Okay, this is what I would love to get feedback on. So we're planning to do the engagement approach in 3 phases. The first one is to confirm corridor vision and needs. So we've been hearing from the community for a really long time that both Highway 99 and River Road have issues. We have traffic safety data that shows that there are issues, fatalities that show that there are issues. So we're not coming in here and asking people like, what's wrong with Highway 99? What's wrong with River Road? Like we know what's wrong. So this first phase is to confirm that. So we're going to ask some really basic questions and lay out our understanding of what we've heard and what's wrong, and then just get like a temperature check from people. Like, does this feel like it's hitting the right stride? So that's phase 1. We're planning to launch that this summer. So by maybe the end of this month, early July, we should have something, which is like, here's our understanding of what's wrong with River Road, what's wrong with Highway 99, what's right with River Road, what's right with Highway 99, what does this resonate with people? So that's coming soon. And then we're gonna come up with some conceptual design options and bring those to the community and get a ton of feedback and work together on like, are these the right interventions? That's when I'm planning to do like a big push for community engagement. So that's gonna be staked yard signs, social media, newsletters, partner newsletters, like all of the stuff that we do to really get the word out. And we'll definitely ask you all for help with that too. Just getting the word out, like we are looking for feedback. And then we'll share refined recommendations. So then we come back and we're like, okay, here's what we think we've landed on. What do you all think about this? And then from there, we can use that refined recommendation to apply for funding. We already have a little bit of money, but not quite enough to like probably build what we're gonna decide to build. Thoughts on that idea, like the 3 phases, any sort of opinions?
What? Why,
Why not Coburg Road?
Oh, great question. Yeah, River Road and Highway 99 are not the only roads with problems in town, for sure. Coburg is its own beast. And I think the long-term plan is to do these 2 streets, and then our next street that we want to look at is Coburg. So then we'll apply for funding, try and get planning studies and start thinking about it. Thanks.
Sue?
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're kind of condensing the first phase, because I would think people, particularly at River Road, feel like we've been surveyed out the wazoo. It's like, why is this survey any different from anybody else, and why should I care at this point? So I'm glad that that's just sort of, yeah, just checking in, and then we'll get on to the real meat of it. 2 questions. In the first place, I was wondering whether just the titles of the 2 studies, is multimodal, is that a term that the average ordinary person on the street
Yeah.
gets to or understands or
Thank
whatever?
you for asking that. We went back and forth on name like crazy in my team. It was like we were throwing around so many ideas, and multimodal is where we landed. I agree that it's probably not the best term, but it is the term that everyone was able to agree on. It's the multimodal safety plan. So I think I'm really like the safety word is what I think I really am like gonna drive home on. And if we can get photos of people walking, biking, and taking the bus, hopefully that visual representation can help like define multimodal for people, but that's just kind of where we landed. Yeah.
And the other thing I was, actually 2 quick things. One thing is it informed by, I mean, Best has just had people out there for the last, 6 months talking to people. Is this, can you use their findings so you don't have to ask the same people the same questions?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Yeah, short answer, yes. Similar to what we did on Franklin Boulevard, Best did a really similar process on Franklin Boulevard, and we've been using what they found. Best really focuses on understanding what are the current conditions, and that's really helpful for us because we can use what they've heard from people to kind of back up the fact that it needs to change. Because we get out there and we're like, we're thinking about making XYZ changes, and people are like, it works fine the way it is. And when we have all this survey data from our community partners that says that that's not true, we can really use that to make that argument. So yes, and we just had a meeting with them today, and they're gonna be sending us their data.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the only other thing, you said the demographic table is still being worked on, but I would think you wouldn't necessarily want to compare the Western Eugene neighborhoods to Lane County, because it doesn't show what you've said about the, it's like, it's not appreciably different from the rest of Lane County. I think what you want to compare it is to the rest of Eugene or Eugene, because the fact that people there aren't any poorer than the people out in Oak Ridge, that's not really relevant, They are more low income than the people in the South Hills, or, and the demographics, it seems like compared to the rest of Eugene, rather than comparing it to Lane County as a whole,
Okay,
makes more sense.
thanks.
There's also like a large Latino population out in like North Eugene. Yeah, I think that's actually.
Cool, thanks. Okay, let's keep moving on to our engagement goals. This is kind of similar to what we're talking about. We've got confirm, so like, here's what we understand, is this correct? We'll probably get some additional info to add in, and then inform, so that's like, bringing the refined corridor designs and inform people like, this is the direction we're thinking about going in. And then getting input on trade-offs and priorities. So is this the right direction? Do you like these trade-offs? What are your priorities? And then really like weaving what we hear in with the city's priorities, right? So just because a community says this is our priority, we have to weave that with the city goals, the city priorities, and prioritizing underserved communities and people who use transit and vulnerable road users with what we hear. So doing that weaving process to get a final conceptual design. Okay, we've got some priority audiences. I feel like ATC often has some really good thoughts on audiences. This is something that as I've been bringing more stuff to you all, you are able to share. So the first audience we have is corridor residents. Those are people who live, work along these two streets, people who use transit, communities of color, people with lower incomes or mobility barriers, youth and their parents, older adults, people walking and biking and using mobility devices, business owners, employees and property owners, social service providers and their customers and clients, and then Spanish and other language speakers. That's kind of who we've identified. In a lot of ways, when we do this identification process, we identify almost everybody. So that's always a challenge. It looks like Nancy has her hand raised. Go ahead.
Yes, when you say people who live along the corridor, corridor residents, how far from River Road are you including in people who live along the corridor?
Great question.
The reason, one of the reasons that I ask this is that when the best intern was interviewing people in the River Road area, which is where I live, he found that many people were asking questions based on crossing River Road and traveling to River Road. And that this created a little bit of a, like it wasn't what he was supposed to be studying. And but from the neighborhood standpoint, when you say people who live along the corridor, how deep into the neighborhood are you talking? I just really, that's really important.
Okay. I don't have the answer for that. Jody might have identified that already as the lead planner on this, but I'm gonna make a note so that we can clarify. That question will probably go.
How deep do you think it should go?
Well,
Yeah, I can't say that without knowing more about the project, Charlie, but I'm really happy to talk to people if they and help. Like probably Peter has a lot of anecdotal information that he wasn't able to include based on what he did.
Cool.
That just made me think of something when Nancy said about people who live within the corridor and how close you live, but there could also be folks who work on River Road and need to commute to, is that, I don't know where that, it's not really a resident, but just someone that works there.
Did we capture that? Business owners, employees and property
Oh, there you
owners,
go,
but I feel like
employees.
yeah, employees kind of count, but I'll just people who work.
Students and their families of the schools along River Road.
Yeah. I'll get that added to.
Thought of a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty much like most people. Which is, you know, it's helpful to identify and then be like, okay, when we identify it this way, then I can go through and think of like, how do I access each of these? Because if I just try to do some broad push without thinking that through, then that's where people get lost. So going through and thinking like, how do I get in front of every single one of these populations?
Yeah, I guess I have a thought. Not really sure where it falls exactly, but people use corridors at different times of day. I mean, like most of your traffic studies and things like that. And sometimes getting at that might help guide people. You know, people's use is often very much dependent on when they're traveling.
Okay.
It's not really a fully fledged thought yet, but it's like anytime we're figuring out our needs for buses or our needs for,
Mhm.
yeah, when they program signals, it's all about time of day, right?
Yeah.
So. Even when you're doing your other outreach, maybe like tracking, asking people questions about when they use it. I mean, I guess we're trying not to get too deep. That's just somehow occurs to me as important.
Okay.
And it kind of related, though it's more applicable to Highway 99 than to River Road, I think. Might also be somewhat applicable to 6th and 7th. You know, what portion of the people driving that corridor are just going through without stopping at all? You know, it might be a pretty high proportion on 99
Going
and
to the airport.
yes, and or Junction City or beyond. And I don't know how you capture those people exactly, and I don't know that I care about them, but the nonetheless, I shouldn't say that, this is being recorded, right? I do care about them. I care.
Safe.
We care about their safety, we care that they get where they're going. I drive there. So I'm one of, in fact, that's pretty much, when I'm using 99, I'm only driving on it and I'm driving through and I don't stop at anything. So it is particularly for that corridor, it's like, how do
It's
you,
a highway.
how do you capture those people that, you know, you're not gonna find at any of these establishments or in these groups?
Yeah.
How far out? How far does the project go?
Oh, it goes, it kind of starts at like Garfield, which is where like River Road just went up. So River Road, it's like where it crosses the river and becomes River Road to the UGB extent. So that would be Beacon Drive. And then same with Highway 99, it's from Garfield to the city limit, basically.
Chambers for River Road, Garfield for 99.
Yeah. Okay.
Like taxi and Lyft drive for airport, like that's like a, that's a demographic.
You're right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's 99.
Cool. Hopefully you all are able to review this. We have a bunch of strategies listed here. You guys are on our strategy plan.
Oh, you know what? That's
So
what I was
you'll
talking
see,
about.
we've got ATC on here, for inform a project timeline and discuss, you know, what's coming up. That's kind of, this is sort of ATC number 1, June 11th. We are gonna have that sort of initial information. We're gonna come back in September for the September meeting, and that's when we'll probably get more into like getting your guys' feedback on our project and keeping you informed of how it's going and getting your thoughts. And then we're gonna run our big, in September, October is when we're gonna do our big push for feedback and online open house and workshops and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if you all have thoughts on this. I think that's kind of where we've landed so far, is like, these are the people we're gonna reach. We're gonna do as much as we can to reach them, and we're really gonna focus the conversation on built environment stuff. So that's really like getting design ideas drawn out, getting maps and roll plots and really looking like, option 1 has a roundabout at XYZ intersection. Option 2 has pedestrian hybrid beacons. Option 3, like really going through like, here are the different options we can do for the street. What do you all think? Option 4 has protected bike lanes. Like, what do we want to do? So that's kind of where we're at. Yeah.
Any information you can give people about when and how it could conceivably ever get built? I mean,
Yeah, River Road is probably the street we've applied for grant funding the most number of times. We apply for grant funding for River Road almost every single time there's an eligible grant that we could apply for, and we have not been successful at getting funding. So I think in some ways it's because we don't have a plan. Like we ask for funding, but we don't have a fully fledged plan that we've done community engagement for. So we're really hopeful that this will help us get funding. Because when we apply, we're like, look, we already did everything, like we're ready. Those tend to be more competitive applications. So there's that. We could also like look at trying to fund it with local money. The next street repair bond will be coming up in 2029. Like maybe we ask the community. I don't know. Like we might have to get creative with that. So I guess kind of no.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna be frustrating to people to, just still think it's kind of pie in the sky.
Yeah.
Really gonna happen, so
Yeah.
I realize the bind you're in, but
Well,
it's,
I mean, the way to approach it is sort of a teamwork building thing. We need you guys to help position us as the city to be able to get funding when it's available. You know, this is, you know, there are no guarantees, but if we all work together, then you know, put everyone who responds on your team.
Yeah, exactly. And we do have some money, like we were awarded some construction funds from the MPO. So once we do this plan, if there's some low hanging fruit interventions that would be reasonably priced, we could build those like right away, kind of like as soon as we get the engineering drawings. So I think we can tell people that like we have some money and we could do some things. For the large scale, like all the way from Chambers to Beacon, adding protected bike lanes, for example, is just like, that's gonna be really expensive. Maybe we think about phasing it and doing just like a little chunk at a time. You know, maybe maybe we do a single intersection, like maybe we can make those sort of slower phased changes over time rather than trying to get it all, all at once. So yeah, it's tricky. Yeah, and hopefully people don't get too discouraged from it. But River Road especially has been asked so many times, like they've been engaged so much from a visioning perspective. I'm hopeful that like concrete engagement on like, here's a map of the street, like here's an idea, hopefully we'll engage them a bit more than like the broader conversation. So yeah.
Thanks, Willow.
Yeah.
Big projects. But you know, it's nice we're talking about 6th and 7th, River Road and 99, you know, the places where I think that you know, are the most hazards for those who are active transportation users.
Yeah, and the city, like, we really care and like we really wanna make it better out there, so this is one project at a time. Yeah.
So can we do a 5-minute update on e-motos and e-bike?
We can. This will be really easy because I don't really have a whole lot to share. We have been working on putting together collateral. These are all kind of draft. The Wowza Nice e-bike door hanger is an example from a different community that I've sent to our graphic designers to try and get something made. The other ones are ones that I've just made on design software. But I think we're really like honing in our messaging and getting some communications out there. I got this e-moto with an X, e-bike with a check on our website. So like things are happening and people are responding. We made a social media video that got like 500 likes and 150 comments, and I've been in there like answering a lot of questions people have been asking about like, but if it has pedals and if it can be turned down to 20 and all these different questions that people have. So we're really in an education moment. Like people have no idea what an e-moto is and how it differs from an e-bike. So we're in the trenches of making that education happen, and this is helping us with that. So this is our start. Stuff is with a graphic designer, so we should have more polished, really nice looking things coming down the line.
Where would you find this video that you?
Oh, it's on Instagram and Facebook. It was posted by City of Eugene flagship account, like the whole one, my account, EPD, and Parks. We like all posted at the same time. It's really simple. It just goes, yup, and shows an e-bike, and then it goes, nope, and it shows an e-moto, and it just does that over and over and over again, and then has a caption about the rules. So it's a very simple video. Nancy, what's up?
Yeah, I've been sharing your publicity where I live, which is in a condo community on River Road. And people are really engaged. Like somebody will ask a question and then somebody else will answer it and quote your material and put the link through. I think it's gonna, I think it's gonna really get the conversation going and it's gonna super help. And I'd just like to say, I'll put in a plug for the River Road Community Organization, Fall River Celebration on September 8th as a really great outreach opportunity for education, but there's also, that's gonna be September 13th, and I already sent Willow the information. But you know, several hundred people come to, you know, this short stretch of the Greenway to go to little booths and play games and all that stuff. But there's also a concert series in, I think, Maury Jacobs Park that I saw people there and a stage setup and all of that. I would look and see what the activities on the Greenway are, because I think it would be so helpful to be someplace where people are already gathering to hand this stuff out or put up a kiosk or something like that.
Awesome, thanks Nancy. Yeah, I'm getting these flyers made and I'm gonna get them to the Office of Community Engagement, and they go to tons of events, and if they can have these on their table and be engaging with people and helping spread the word, hopefully that will help. But really glad to hear that people are talking about it and engaged with it. Yeah.
So how are you coordinating with, I mean, I know EPD has, you know, you can report seeing emotos on their website. In fact, I did it, you know, but how is that part of your effort? How are you working together?
Yeah, so that's actually my next slide. EPD just added an Emoto complaint option to their My PD Connect form. This is like a screenshot of their page, and then at the bottom there are two different ones that you can use that I thought would be relevant to this committee. One of them is the Emoto e-bike e-scooter complaint. You can click on it. The only required question is like location and description of what your complaint is. The rest is all optional, because what they're really trying to do is slowly get location data to figure out if there are hotspots where like people are complaining about this a lot, so that they could, I mean, I don't know, EPD does what they're gonna do, I'm not really sure. I imagine they're gonna try and do some level of enforcement, if they are able to identify like a really clear area, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I had one person just kind of told me at some length that number one, he was upset that you have to fill out all this demographic information about you. Like, why do they need my driver's license? Why do they need to know my sex? Why do they need to know all this stuff about me? I'm not doing, you know. So he was kind of, which I think is just the standard boilerplate. That's what the EPD does. But he was also saying it would be much more helpful to have an interactive map, kind of like they do, you know, if you're reporting up, you know, hazard on the bikeway or something, you know, because he may seem to think that a lot of people don't really know what their cross streets are or whatever, but on a map they could find it.
Yeah, and that actually relates to an issue on the paths, which is there are no cross streets and there are no signs and people don't know where they are most of the time when they're on the path. So that kind of overlaps with our wayfinding that we're trying to do to get cross street signs onto the path. So that's a really good point. So I'll bring that up to them and see if they have the functionality for that. Yeah.
They just use the same one as for the bikeway safety thing.
Right. But yeah, they made this complaint form specifically because we've been working together and we needed a place for people to be able to tell EPD about this. I had mentioned last meeting that we were thinking about doing an e-bike checkpoint. That actually is not legal in the state of Oregon. You're not allowed to do checkpoints. They aren't even allowed to do DUI checkpoints. You have to have probable cause in order to have a law enforcement interaction with somebody. That's what is supposed to happen. Yeah, so anyway, we're not gonna do that. So we might do some tabling, but it wouldn't be an enforcement-based tabling. It'd be more like what Nancy was talking about at the community events, or even just posting up on the path and being like, hey, nice e-bike, you're going too fast, you know, or like.
We have all these park ambassadors. I know it's a different thing.
And park ambassadors have been getting this communications and they're able to like have conversations with people, but not from an enforcement perspective.
My question was, because you were just saying something about EPD, whether EPD wanted to come here to talk about this. Just, it seems like if they're working with you on this and we're talking about this. We're a very engaged committee related to ACT. We've talked about trying to invite EPD before. Charlie's asked about like the overlap with like path cleanups and stuff before, and it's always felt like it was there are some more politically charged, like less directly related to active transportation reasons why that may or may not be a great idea. This seems like very targeted and specific, and I would be disappointed in them if they didn't want to come.
Okay, is there, I think if we were to invite EPD to come to our meeting to talk about E-motos, we'd probably wanna have like something specific to talk to them about.
Well, if they're planning enforcement activities or
Gotcha.
things like that, I think
Okay.
I'd love to have them check with us for feedback on
Okay.
that. I mean, you know, I think if I were police, I would want to get feedback from the community that uses the path a lot.
I think we could have
Stuff like
some
that.
specific questions for them.
Mhm.
I'll do that.
Even more broader than that. I don't think we should do it right now though, because I think
Right.
we're out of time.
Okay, the
So-
last thing I'll mention is that there's also this traffic complaint tip. This is like, if you're seeing unsafe behaviors on the streets, unrelated to E-motos, people driving, running red lights, running stop signs, running crosswalks, like this is also a good place to be like, I saw this. And that can help EPD identify areas where there's significant like illegal activity on the streets. So that's also, I mean, if we were all to report every illegal activity we saw on the street, we'd be doing it all the time. But if you see anything really egregious, or if you notice a hot spot, making some reports would be helpful.
I think Nancy has a hand up. And I was gonna say, just like that, I think we would have given, people had feedback on that, you know. This form, like that would have been a thing we could have given feedback on if they wanted to come talk to us. I think Nancy had a question, or I know Charlie's right about time, but.
Yeah, I have a
Nancy?
comment, and it's really the same comment I had last time, is we're having a lot of trouble with the amount of attention that EPD spends on speeding and egregious behavior on the streets, and that's where people are getting killed. And this is a very sexy, fun thing for everybody to talk about. But if we're going to engage EPD, I don't want to engage EPD on this. I want to engage EPD on the places where it counts the most and where what they're doing is not something which public relations and good neighborliness and other tactics can be used. If we're going to invite EPD, I want them to talk about Vision Zero. I want to talk to them to talk about enforcement, and I want to talk to them about charging people who kill people.
Thanks, Nancy. Okay,
Great,
that's all I have for E-motos. Yep.
all right. Last agenda item, or kind of the set of last agenda items, project updates and information share. The top of the list, no July meeting. So for our regular attendees in the audience, as well as committee members, we won't be here in July. We'll be back in August. There's something here about Broadway paving and lane reallocation. Well, is that kind of some kind of brief update?
Yeah, so last year we took a lane off of Broadway and made a wide sidewalk with a planter strip from Patterson to Alder.
Yeah.
This year we're finishing that from Patterson up to Mill Street. So that's gonna be starting soon. It's mostly night paving, so it shouldn't have like a major significant impact on traffic. But just wanted to let you all know that we're doing the next phase of that. It is going to be, I think, a pretty significant benefit to active transportation. And another example of a lane reallocation
Yeah.
project.
Excellent. It's good to hear the rest of that's happening. BPAC, Cheryl, Brenda's here. Brenda, I got to attend the BPAC meeting 2 days ago, and that's the first one I've ever been to. Really enjoyed it. But what do you have to share, Brenda?
We have a meeting in August that we talked about, that we're gonna have a lot of community members from the state and county there. I remember who she said was gonna be there. I was talking to the lady next to me. She was new and asking questions.
I wasn't sure exactly who from the state was coming, but it's specifically about laws regulating what those legislative changes related to electric bikes. They're also dealing with electric bikes and E-motos in Springfield, oddly enough.
Yeah, so that, I think that's gonna be really important and interesting. We have elected, we did a doodle poll and came to June 30th. I think it was reaching out to do from the bike path at, it's the one that goes across and to get to the hospital. And they were
Yeah.
gonna do a ride through
Oh,
there.
the gateway
Yeah,
ramp,
yeah,
okay.
and do like a loop and see where more signage needs to be put, maybe where things need to be just brought up and adjusted. We were gonna do a different area, but person that on our committee really lives in that area won't be here during that time, so we're moving that one up to the following month, but June 30th, and I think she was gonna send out an email to let you guys know. I told her to send out to you also, Willow,
Yes,
invite you guys to.
we've
come.
indicated before, Peter worked with you all, who's not here tonight, worked with you all on kind of identifying that as an issue area in the past, and
Yeah.
I think some of us would be really interested in talking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's gonna be, I think it'd be great because I've been through one path 3 or 4 times and it's just so stumping and frustrating and how do we fix this? And exactly, Oakdale is the one I go through all the time. And it's like, I've got grandkids on that street. So it's kind of important to make sure there's bike paths for them to get into, so. Yeah, it'll be a great one.
All right. And I had added to the agenda here, University of Oregon to do like BPAC does, do a regular sharing. Rachel's always here. She's very familiar. She used to be on Springfield's BPAC, for those of you who didn't know. It used to be our liaison. She knows what we do. She's always here. And the U of O is always involved in active transportation. So it seemed like reasonable and desirable to have
Thanks, Charlie.
like, have you share what's going on with U of O in active transportation?
Yes, I'm super happy to do that. Like you know, I'm here a lot. I enjoy coming here and learning about what's going on in the City of Eugene, transportation planning and other active transportation. So yeah, I'd be happy to provide just an update of transportation relevant things that are going on at U of O. Rachel Glazer, Transportation Services. I'm the active transportation coordinator. And so I do a lot of programming and outreach at U of O. We have a lot of stuff going on spring and summer in terms of outreach. We did a lot with May is Bike Month. So I was part of that committee that helped organize May is Bike Month, working with the city, LCOG and others. And we had some fun events at U of O. We talked with hundreds of people during street fair. We also talked with folks at our Bike to Campus Day event that I organized. So that's just tabling and making sure, you know, folks who are just at U of O, either students, employees, or just traveling through, know what's going on in terms of May is Bike Month. We had a really successful incentive program this May that I organized for employees at U of O. And that's to incentivize trips to campus, commuting trips that are not drive alone. And so we use the Get There platform. The city also used the Get There platform to run like an incentive program. Maybe you saw that. It was like the Earn the Moon Sash. So if you were at U of O, you also could earn a hip pack to by logging your commute trips. So that was really fun to try. The city was a great inspiration for us to check that out. We had 170 people complete that. And it was like 8,000 active transportation and shared transportation trips that were commuting trips to the U of O for the month of May. So we definitely want to keep trying things like that in the future. And then I do a lot around summertime orientation and educating new students who are about to start in the fall about their transportation options. So I've been doing a lot of tabling and some other planning for events in the fall when students are coming back to campus. Transportation planning, we do have someone in our department, his name is Paul. He worked on the transportation plan for U of O and that is finalized, that's on our website. So something that you all asked about, I think, before, and he came and talked at a meeting. So you can check that out on our website now. And then a commute survey. We do an annual commute survey. We just did it in April and we got the results and we're just starting to look at that in terms of how people are commuting to U of O, both students and employees. So,
I'd be curious to hear just a very brief
yeah,
kind of
yeah, the highlights from that.
highlight, the brief highlights of how people are getting to campus.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be happy to come back in August and share that.
Terrific. Thank you. Excellent.
Rachel, would you want to do that commute survey as a more like full of like 10-minute agenda item with
Sure.
like slides, or would you want to just do it during like the update?
Whatever y'all would prefer, I'd be happy to give a little presentation during the
Might
meeting.
be.
Maybe worth a full presentation. Yeah.
I think so too.
Sure. Yeah, maybe for August or September,
Yeah.
whatever you want.
Okay.
Summary, you could send it to us too.
All right.
If there's a summary, a written summary of it, you could just, you know, have that in our packet too.
Sure, whatever you prefer.
Right. Very good. Next up, something Sue and I have been working on. Willow, would you be able to throw that up on the
We
screen?
should be able to. What was it called again? Views from the bike?
Actually, it would come up under, you just type in thebikelane.substack.com.
Oh, perfect. Already have it because I've been reading your article.
I saw.
You saw? How did it tell you that?
I just saw you subscribe.
Oh, I did subscribe.
Yes. So a few of us who've been involved over at BEST in their cycle of change group have been thinking that there's a huge and varied and very disparate bicycling community in Eugene, Springfield, most of whom are unconnected to each other. And we thought that it would be great to have one place where everyone could kind of come and share information, inspiration, ideas, thoughts, tips and tricks and so forth for biking around towns. So we created a Substack newsletter that all of you can now go and subscribe to and hopefully participate in. It's called Views from the Bike Lane. I will send to you immediately after this meeting links that you can use to go straight there. So you don't have to, I don't have for those of you in the audience, I don't have your information necessarily.
Access it just by.
But you can search for Views from the Bike Lane or just thebikelane.substack.com. You can get a pretty good sense for the kinds of things we hope to include by looking at the articles that are currently posted up here now. We hope to put them out, but we hope that it's not just me and Sue writing them. It really is supposed to be for the
Submit articles.
community.
Submit
So
comments and articles.
if you have something that you'd like to share, whether it's something inspirational that happened to you while you were cycling around Eugene, Springfield, whether it's like a cool route that you love to bike, or you found a neat cheater route that lets you get to some shopping center that you think other people need to know about because it's safer and better than biking on the road. Whatever it might be that is of use to the bicycling community, we'd like it to be a part of this, and we'd like this to help sort of build those connections among cyclists in Eugene. This is, only one thing of many that probably need to happen to build those connections and create more of a bicycling community, but this is one thing. And so if you know about it and subscribe, because it's a Substack, there are a variety of ways to interact with the information. The easiest is just to plug in your email address, and the newsletter will arrive whenever something's published, that it will arrive in your email box and you don't have to do anything else. If you want to comment, and we certainly encourage people to comment on articles as well and create a conversation, you do have to set up a free Substack account, which is kind of like setting up an account to where you'd want to comment on any other kind of news source or social media. So and Bill is going to comment right now to demonstrate how to do it.
No, I have to make an account.
Oh, you have to create your profile first. Yeah, so
No,
that
it's
is the
gonna
problem. And there's no way around that, unfortunately. To comment, you do have to kind of create your own little profile. It doesn't take very long and there's no real commitment to it. So anyway, Views from the Bike Lane. It's kind of a play on Lane County, if you didn't immediately pick
That's
that
right.
up, but anyway.
And tell your friends about it too. We're trying to build a community.
Once you subscribe, every email you get will invite you to share it with people you know and that might be interested, and please do that.
We've got 1 minute left.
Yes. Anything from the subcommittees? Infrastructure capital projects did work on something, but it needed more than one meeting to get something ready to go, so.
The subcommittees have been busy, so if you guys don't have anything this month, I think that's fine. We've got plenty of letters from you all to respond.
I think
So,
we're really efficient this year, I think so far.
What?
Yeah.
I think we've been really good this year.
You have,
compared to
yeah, you
previous
guys.
years,
Cap projects will have something in August, and we will meet week from Tuesday, the 4th Tuesday.
Well, we're at time,
Yes,
so
and we are at time. You pulled it up right on the dot. So,
Thanks, everybody.
Right, 20 seconds.
thanks everyone for being here.
Yeah.
We appreciate the dedicated audience.
So when is it?
Hey, Rachel, how did the